Hello and welcome to Bespoke Unit. I'm CP and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the Perdomo 20th Anniversary Maduro. As per usual, this review will be conducted using the Bespoke Unit Cigar Formula, a quantifiable review matrix that you can use at home. Simply look into the description of this video where you'll see a link to a guide. It teaches you how to use it and provides you with a blank version like this that you can fill out at home. And of course, these cigars have been spending the last 3 weeks in the Boveda acrylic humidor that you can just about see behind me because it's covered by the green chair that I'm going to have to move for a period of 3 weeks to ensure that they were properly acclimated and prepared for this review. I used 69% Boveda packs and they were monitored closely with Boveda butlers. Well, just one Boveda butler, I didn't need several. Following the reviews of the 20th anniversary Connecticut and Sun Grown, I finish with the Maduro, and although I'm not hugely fond of Maduros as a general rule, I've been really looking forward to this one, especially since I first smelt it and it has an incredible bouquet, but we'll get to that in a second. So like the other two, this was manufactured at the Perdomo factory in Esteli, also known as El Monstro due to its sheer size, 8,500 meters squared of factory floor, I believe. As for the manufacturing method, this looks to me like it is booking rather than accordion, but I could be wrong. In any case, it's hecho mano, it's a handmade cigar. The wrapper is a Nicaraguan Sun Grown Maduro, whereas the binder and filler is a combination of the Perdomo family's Jalapa, Condega and Esteli crops that are also Cuban seed sun grown Nicaraguan leaves. Oh, by the way, I'm halfway through the first third and I just realized that I didn't mention that the Sun Grown Maduro wrapper here has been aged for 8 years and then further aged for a period of 14 months in some bourbon barrels. On top of that, higher primings were used in the blend of this cigar than on the Connecticut and the Sun Grown. Anyway, back to past me. With that being said, let's take a look at the look and feel. So first of all, you'll notice that this cigar has somewhat of a matte finish. There isn't much light that reflects from it, so the sheen isn't that oily. That being said, it does have a somewhat soft and resinous texture. The veins are minimal, there aren't many, and in terms of the roll, it's relatively straight, although there are a couple of soft spots here and there. Nevertheless, the spring is far firmer than the Sun Grown, which was also a slightly box press shape, whereas the Connecticut was the firmest of the three because it was a straight parejo. I can't do it with a Spanish accent, I'm afraid. A straight regular cigar. As for the aromas of the foot and body, so I noted tonka bean, charred oak and molasses. Indeed, it has a silky, warm and embracing odor that is very, very inviting. With regards to the Prelight, the dry draw offers just the right amount of resistance. There's a little bit that just reduces that airflow just as you want. The flavors are very rich and it is bolstered with aromas, which in this case consist of agarwood, so a resinous oud, tonka bean again, which continued from the smell of on the foot, and fresh walnut, which just adds a little bit of liveliness to this otherwise deep and somber and verbose dry draw. With all that being said, I guess now it's time to light up this cigar, so I'll be back in a second. Between the sounds and the smells, there's something wonderfully reminiscent of a log fire in the middle of winter with this cigar. I'm very much looking forward to sampling it. It's quite rare that a cigar will deliver flavors that are strikingly similar to what you experience on the dry draw or even off the body. Normally you can more or less guess what you may experience, but you're never going to have something that is strikingly similar. It's not quite like wine where there is a far greater level of similarities between the bouquet and the flavor. Indeed, the first third consists primarily of some tonka bean, which is one of the notes that we experience on both the look and feel in smelling the foot and on the dry draw. Furthermore, I also got mostly quite a considerable amount of cinnamon. Cinnamon could be experienced in the retrohale. It tingled the nostrils a little bit, and then there was a hint of fragrant rosewood that offered some substance to the overall blend. So far, it's quite delicate, it's complex, it's not overpowering as some Maduros can be. I'm thoroughly enjoying this, given that my typical aversion for of Maduros, as they have a tendency to be too full-bodied, although Maduro means aged rather than strong. This tends to be an expectation in the market. Its mouthfeel is very smooth, quite velvety, and it gives quite good, balanced palate stimulation so far. You'll probably notice I'm also experiencing a few minor burning issues. This was something that I had with the Sun Grown as well, not so much with the Connecticut. It could be because the box press is a little less consistently rolled than the Parejo of the Connecticut that I smoked in a previous video. Anyway, let's see how this develops. The 20th Anniversary Maduro delivers a distinctive transition from the first to the second third. It becomes much fuller in body and develops a much richer flavour. It is dominated by agarwood, which consists of notes of leather and resinous oud. It is quite rich in spice and features a distinctive charred bay leaf scent. It also has some black pepper, which leaves a thick texture on the tongue and can be detected through the retrohale. I haven't touched up the cigar, and as you can see, its burn line has significantly improved. The balance in its flavor profile has drawn towards the center of the palate, but it leaves a relatively balanced flavor. It doesn't cause too much salivation or dryness. I'm well into the final third now, and overall it seems quite consistent with the second third, admittedly a little bit linear. The agarwood has all but subsided, and instead we're left with a sombre, a deep oak note instead. The pepper, the black pepper on the retrohale, is still very much present, as is the bay leaf. Otherwise, it's quite similar to the second third, except on this occasion it's going to be a little less resinous, it's going to be a little less fragrant, it's going to offer more depth and intensity than the first two thirds. Overall, this is a relatively complex cigar. The first third was definitely the most impressive out of the full smoking experience. The mouthfeel is quite velvety all the way through. It leaves a slight residue on the palate. The balance is on the palate is also quite pleasant. There is no over salivation or dryness on the tongue. It does focus towards the center of the palate a lot more as you progress through the cigar. And the life cycle, as I mentioned, between the second and final third, it is somewhat linear, not overly so. There is an evolution in the experience of the cigar, but it does stay relatively the same, transitioning from the second to the final third. The finish is quite long on the cigar. You will feel the pepperiness stay on the palate for quite some time, so you may want to enjoy finishing the cigar with a palate cleanser. That being said, the residual scent in this room, I'm smoking with the windows closed and with a small air purifier between thirds just to get rid of the smoke. The overall smell is quite pleasant. It's not too acrid as you can expect from a Maduro cigar. It does leave a slight fragrance in my study. When it comes to the overall burn, so the draw is quite pleasant all the way down. It remains consistent and it provides you with a cool smoke. The burn angle, though, is a little bit disappointing. Here, as you can see, the burn has corrected, but that's only because I touched it up. And as I've stated in previous videos, I try and avoid touching it up just to see if the cigar is capable of correcting itself. However, I did have a very strong runner here on the side, and I had to correct that. The backbone, the ash backbone, as you can see, is quite flaky. It comes off quite easily, so don't expect to do any ash stacks with this cigar. When it comes to the overall experience, I really do like the band on this cigar, although it's quite large and it looks like it should be two separate bands. These are actually one and the same. I prefer the color scheme of the Maduro to the Connecticut and the Sun Grown. I find it a little bit more subtle and understated compared to those which may be perceived as ostentatious. As for the box, rather than a 20 count box, I have this small presentation box, 5 count box. Each of the cigars are individually packaged in cardboard boxes, and it does have excellent presentation potential, excellent as a gift or maybe taking to a special event. When it comes to the value of the cigar, you're looking at about $9.50 for the Epicure, which is the 6x56 cigar that I'm smoking, which it offers decent value for money. However, you can find them on sale when you buy a box. I've seen them online for about $6.25 each when you buy a box of 20, so a box of 24 rather, so obviously you'll have to buy the whole thing. When it comes to the occasion, this is a versatile cigar. It's something that you could certainly enjoy smoking at night or in the late evening on your own for a contemplative moment, or you could take it to a special occasion. That being said, unlike the Connecticut and the Sun Grown, which are going to be easier for occasional smokers, this is something that if you're going to a special occasion, you should at least check that all the other guests and all the other people that will be with you are quite familiar with smoking cigars, as this may have quite an overwhelming flavor for those who don't have much experience. Finally, we're going to take a look at the pairings. Now, the pairing consideration here at the bottom right hand corner are not scored, they're not factored into the overall score of this cigar, but it's something that we like to do as an exercise to give you an idea of how you can enjoy it. So first of all, I suggested Rion and cured ham. Rion is a type of cured chunk of ham that you can slice. It's smoked and cured and has a very rich flavor. Otherwise, you could try things like Bayern ham or even prosciutto. Alternatively, I suggested walnuts. Probably fresh walnuts would be very nice with this, especially if you're smoking the cigar next to a roaring fire. And of course, the usual suspect, dark chocolate. Opt for the darkest chocolate possible with the cigar so they can really complement its flavors. When it comes to beverages, I have here a bottle of Nica whiskey from the barrel. This would be a great pairing to go with this cigar. It has a very full flavor which would complement each other well. Otherwise, you can go for a Scotch, something from maybe the Isle of Islay. The peatiness in those whiskies would go well with this cigar. Alternatively, espresso is always a good call. That being said, espresso can be quite short, whereas this cigar does last for quite a while. It is a slow burner, so you may instead want to opt for something like a long black or an Americano. And finally, if you're fond of wine, wine is going to be a little bit challenging with this cigar, but I would perhaps go for something like a Zinfandel or a Primitivo from Italy or from California. But bear in mind, if you're going to go for a Californian Zinfandel, go for a red and one that has been aged for quite a while to make sure you have those tannins and that depth of flavor. Don't go for a white Zin, as those will not at all be compatible with this cigar. That's all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give us a like and subscribe for more men's lifestyle comment. And if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them right below this video. Until next time, and I'll see you in the next video, take care.